Oh my gosh, it is March. It is Women's History Month, and you are here with a whole bunch of women. Black women, yo. Feel blessed. Okay, it's magic happening. Anyway, you are here with the grown-ass women of Onyx Therapy Group, so we are so excited to introduce ourselves, and today's topic is around sex. What you got? What you got? Okay, anyway, let me not be corny because that's what they're going to say in a few minutes that I was corny. I'm Dr. Plummer of Onyx Therapy Group. Let's do a quick introduction of the grown-ass women, and let's get into the topic of sex. Let me introduce you to my crew. All right? These are my best friends. You ready? Dr. Malone, let's go.
Yes, I am Ayana Malone, busy mom who likes to swing and from chandeliers, and go to sex clubs and have all sorts of fun time, but also a prude. So I have a lot to say. Next.
Well, you know what? I really appreciate your introduction here, and this topic, because this is something I hold very dear to my heart in other parts.
It's because she got her collars popped, guys.
There you go. Okay, so I'm Nikki Wood. I am the single mom, double divorcee.
Double.
I like
Divorcee.
Divorcee. I'm excited about this topic and see where it goes. Good, bad, and ugly. So, hello.
Hey everybody, I'm Jonai Carr, newly married. I'm here with my friends. Love you guys.
Wow. I am Deana Kennedy, single, free, and ready to mingle. But like Ayana, I'm also a prude.
Wait, guys. The way we decided to start this conversation is not the way you guys are introducing this. Like, we had a whole run of show. What the hell, guys? Like, prudes? What the hell?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Let's define it.
But I have some reasons. Let's get into it.
I was gonna say, I think they can tie into last month's conversation with identity.
Yeah. Do you see the shock on my face, Jonai?
I do.
Okay. So let's go into the prudes, because that's how y'all identify. Like, last month we were talking about like identity, but like sexual prudes. Did you just say you were swinging and you're a prude? Like, what?
That's
Explain.
Because I swing with everybody. So I think what's interesting is when you introduce the subject of sex and the idea of sex being indiscriminate on so many levels, and the idea of we use sex very indiscriminately in our culture. And although I can be free with sex, I can go to the swingers club, I can do that, but I'm not doing it indiscriminately. And I often think people leverage sex for the wrong reasons.
But what criteria do you use? So when people think about like swinging, they think about like free for all. Mm-hmm. And we're here in March and we like showed up as women, right? Like nobody is wearing like specific colors or themes or anything. We're just women. You're a woman who swings and enjoys sex and a Scorpio, right? Okay. And so what does this all mean? Like what?
So when we talk about your introduction to sex, which we were having before the show starts, and the idea of why people have sex.
Yeah.
What is the purpose behind having sex outside of just the pleasure? So much more can get mixed into it. Trauma, societal expectation, male and female gender roles, same-sex gender roles, regardless of if you're male or female, why men can't be bisexual, but women can. Like all of these things, there's so many more layers to sex that I don't think we often appreciate when you enter into that relationship with someone else. So that's where I come from with my tinge of prudity, saying I am not indiscriminate with it, right? And that I hold it, right, as very dear, as very spiritual.
So Yani, who would you not swing with?
Oh, a whole lot of people, girl.
Okay.
I mean, just as
what makes them swingable?
Yeah.
What makes them swingable?
What makes them you swing with? Or to Jay's point, who's swingable?
Right. You have to have
who's in the chandeliers, baby?
There has to be this trust. There has to be a basis of friendship. I truly believe that. I'm not having sex with anybody who is not first and foremost have my best interest at heart.
Okay.
So someone who just wants to have sex with me because they're like, oh, she cute, let's do it. I'm probably going to say no.
Okay.
That's
Right.
a relationship.
Okay,
Right?
that's fair.
Not
I mean,
even
true
a
that.
relationship. Like,
A relationship.
right, a relationship, not like a well-established, not even a loving relationship, but there has to be this mutuality. There has to be this respect. There has to be this connection that is had, that you have my best interest at
But
heart.
Yanni, how do you determine that somebody has your best interest without intimacy of a defined relationship or anything else? Like, how
But
do you know?
You vet. You know.
So
You
are you talking about the
She not at
person
the
that
party
you
doing
are?
it.
So you go into a swingers party. Are you talking about the person that is on your arm that has to have this best interest? Are you
Not
talking
always.
about the person
No.
that's like,
No, not
ow,
always.
what's good?
Yeah, if you come up to me talking about, ow, what's good, I'm gonna be like, nothing. And I will move on.
But what about
But-
me? I can give
We
you
live
out
in
what's
taboo,
good.
but again, that's a whole other conversation.
I have not.
I didn't get to taboo by myself.
Soundbite.
Someone introduced me to taboo, of which is not a sponsor. So
We need you to
we're not
sponsor Taboo.
endorsing
We just shout you
this
out a lot.
lifestyle club.
God, if
But
they don't sponsor
I
us.
This
think
lifestyle
what's
club.
really interesting when I think about how I was introduced to sex, how we use sex from a trauma perspective.
And sex is
That-
also a part of currency, yeah?
Sexual
And it's-
currency.
And
yes.
not cash currency, right?
No,
like
not
you
at
see a
all.
whole bunch
No.
of straight women that be like, I'm a do my do tonight. I'm not supposed to be cussing. Can I cuss? I'm okay. I don't know what the Lord says.
Just go for
But
it.
I'm gonna do my do tonight. I'm gonna do this thing, and then he gonna do this for me tomorrow. Or
Mhm.
even with same sex relationships, like it's this idea that like if I do this sexual act that they really like, then tomorrow they're gonna like take care of me. They're gonna
They
buy
call
me
that a
this
trick.
thing.
But don't you get
But
out
they're
of
gonna
that?
watch
But do,
They're gonna wash the
but do
dishes.
people
It
not
could be
trick
simple
in
shit.
relationships? People trick
They
in
do.
relationships.
Absolutely.
But don't
Hell
they get out
yeah.
of that? It's part of kind of being this grown ass woman, right? Don't you? At some point, you become so self sufficient as you get older. You should grow out of that. Now, when you're younger,
But does it happen then?
No, not
sure
always.
will.
Not always.
I feel
Exactly.
like
Should.
it's
not all the
mad people
time.
that still it'd be like, oh, this is anniversary sex. This is birthday
Aw.
sex. It's so transactional. Like
but that's a
This is
deeper
your
issue.
treat.
That's a deeper issue. That might
Right.
be beyond transactional versus duty, right? Especially tied us back to identity.
Come back to duty.
Yeah, that might be like my duty, right? Because when we talked about identity and the different roles, think about if you're a spouse or a partner, you might feel like it's my responsibility to sexually satisfy you, which is when you're going to find yourself in these transactional
I remember
moments.
being at church one Sunday and the pastor said, oh my God, I was so upset. And I love church. I miss church. But the pastor said, women, do not let your husbands go out there sexually unsatisfied because it means that they're going to find satisfaction in somebody else. Like it is your
is that?
duty to have sex with your husband so that he
That's
comes
not.
back home to you. And I was so mortified. I was like,
Okay.
so my
Because it
responsibility
is a
is to have sex
transaction.
with somebody so that they don't cheat on me? Like that was so,
So-
horrible.
Right.
So I'll say this in
Like what
response
about
to that.
me and my clit?
Right, that's valid. So maybe the presentation was wrong, right? I'm-
Wait, I thought we
No,
said
no,
we were
don't worry.
going
Go
raw
hard
for
or go
March.
home.
Don't
Go
worry,
home.
I'm adding that
That's
to the
what
tip
we
of the
talked
day.
about in the pre-show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
That is
did.
all the way wrong.
We did.
What about
Okay.
me? My clip.
But-
That's
but-
what we said in the
We
pre-show.
did.
We
Okay.
did, but I'll say this: although the
Sponsorship.
point was wrong,
Mhm.
tip of the day word. Although the
Tracy's
point
dog.
was wrong because it didn't focus on women and their need for satisfaction and fulfillment as well. There is a real taboo. Like, let's be real about it. If you're not having sex with your partner, for whatever reasons, valid or not valid, male or female, so it's not gender specific. If you are not getting satisfied, is that not one? If not emotionally, or there's some other things going on, is that not one reason why people may cheat?
Well, from a therapeutic perspective, we say that most people cheat because of a lack of communication. And the
Mhm.
lack of communication as a pathway goes into sex or it goes into money. So the root of it is communication. And then if we go the path of sex, it's because like I'm not sexually fulfilled and you're not doing what needs to be done for sexual fulfillment. And as we talk about women empowerment, how often are we taught to tell somebody, yo, you're not giving it, right? Like, so whether
We
it's
are
a
not
man
do that.
or a
We're not
woman
taught to do
or
that.
somebody that's non-binary, how often do we say, like, I need you to hit it from this side and hit it from that side and, like, go in this way and go in that way? Like, we think about sex. If we think about sex only in a transactional way, then the goal is to fulfill the other person so they give us what we want later, which is materialistic, as
Yeah.
opposed to the orgasmic experience that I feel is spiritual, right? Like
Right.
God gives us orgasms.
I feel
And
elevated.
And
You-
that's where
I know
but
you do,
that's
Nick.
where that's where that discrimination takes place. Where I'm talking about it's not indiscriminate, right? Because it's not about a transaction.
Right.
It's not just about having this wild experience, swinging from the chandeliers, etc. Because that it feels very transactional. It's to me, it's much more spiritual. So there often has
You
to
be having spiritual
somewhere
sex?
there. Absolutely.
be calling on God?
Absolutely.
So is it
the
not
time.
the act, but the intention and the energy
Right. It's
behind
not
the act?
it's the intention and the energy. I like the way you phrase that.
But
Come on, D.
Absolutely.
Yanni and D,
Absolutely.
how do you determine somebody's intention if the hip don't hit right?
Well,
Like,
go to your
how do you determine
chiropractor
intention if
or
the
physical-
behavior isn't
Well, I think
okay?
You
Let
can't
me
tell
pause this
from
for a
the body
second.
behavior.
What do we say to the youngins? We all in our 40s. We grown ass women. What do you say to the youngin that's 22 and she's with a man or a woman and they just not doing it right? Do we tell that youngin, pay attention to their intention? They got their good heart. Pay attention to the
No.
girth.
No.
It's something there.
No.
so
Pay
many
attention to
aspects.
the
I think
strength.
there's so many
like,
things.
what do you say to a youngin who's trying to
attention
figure
to
out their sexual
yourself.
identity?
Pay attention to yourself.
Wait, I don't know how
Stop
you pull.
paying attention
why
to the
you pull
other
it- Why you
person.
pull in like that? You pull
Because
okay.
to me, you said something so powerful. Pay attention to their intention. Pay attention to yes, but read yourself.
Okay.
Can you do that
Right.
at 22?
Yes.
You better practice.
I think so.
Were we
Maybe
doing
or
that at
maybe not.
22? Is that
I
You should be
wasn't.
able to do that before you engage
You
in sex.
should. You
Right.
should.
Which
but-
goes into masturbation.
right.
Well,
you
I
should.
think
think it's
they're different. You have
masturbation.
different points in your life. Sometimes I don't even care about you. I mean, I'm married
Come on
now.
now.
Stop, guys. I'm married.
Right.
But I'm saying back then,
Who you stopping? Because we didn't even
Right,
say
I know.
that.
She's like, stop, guys. Stop.
I don't want anybody to say nothing wild, right?
Okay.
But when you're 20 something, 18 or whatever is your, I don't think you get into your prime till you're like 40 something from what I hear, but
And Nikki said we
You
should
there,
talk
boo.
about when you should start having
Yeah.
sex.
Yeah. That's important.
but I think if you just hear, I don't care about you for real, I just want to have an orgasm, then that's when you're like, oh, you're not hitting it right or whatever. But if you are connected to somebody, sometimes they might not have it all together down there, but you're so connected to the person that you're able to vibe on a whole different level, and it just all comes together naturally.
Wait.
No, you do. You still
That's
have
what
to,
happens
you
with
still
people
have
with
to have
small things.
conversations sometimes. You still have to have conversations, but there are times when you're not even having intercourse or whatever, and you can.
But Jay, they out in the street singing that they like giving it to you right, and you sitting there like your intentions are good. Like that's a disconnect.
I mean, I think there's so many circumstances, right? There's so many circumstances surrounded.
I am
around
asking
sex,
us
like-
to think about while we are often in the space of grown as women. I'm asking us to think about what it means to be a like young 20-something-year-old person, or maybe a 30-something-year-old person. Because the 20s, I mean, I hope they're listening to grown ass women, but they might be doing something else, right?
You wild out
But
in
like
your
when
20s.
you're
That's fine.
30 and
That's
you
fine.
like looking to settle down, it's a whole bunch of youngins that's out here like, but their intentions is good. But they ain't never had an orgasm. But they're like looking at their partner like, your intentions are good.
But if their
where the
intentions are
self-awareness
good,
comes
if
in.
their intentions are good, that should create the space to communicate, to your point. Where if this is really my partner, I can like, ooh, I like it when you do this. Like, it doesn't have to be this, tutorial. There's ways that, and a woman in her 30s is going to know how. She more than likely.
Are they, baby?
More than likely.
I think sometimes
I was
I
not.
think 20s and who knows? Some people know what they want and know how they want it
Yeah.
at an early age.
Well, I was.
But if you don't, I think sometimes it's hard to communicate that. Like, because I'm not sure exactly what it is. I just know you ain't it. So but I don't know what to tell you.
But
either.
your intentions are good and I like you. Like, that's the issue that I feel like.
Why do you keep focusing on the other person? And I think that is where oftentimes people go wrong.
No, that's not what I'm focusing on. That's
sex.
what y'all focusing on. Because I said
Whether
masturbation.
it's about sex or whether it's about relationship. If your intentions are good, we might.
Well,
have to pull out
today's
some
conversation,
tutorials.
I mean, a couple months ago, we talked about relationship and we talked about sex in relationship and we talked about like sex and religion in relationship. So today is just purely sex.
Just
and
sex?
we're like,
if you ain't getting it right,
sex.
then
Bye.
Right. But you know that because of your self-awareness of how
That's
you
not fair
feel.
though. So you can't just say bye because they probably can adjust if you tell them what you want.
Maybe I don't want to.
But if you know what you want, that might be an issue on your part too. Maybe you don't know what to tell them. So that's what I was saying. You don't know. You might not even know what it is that you don't even know how to course correct, right?
Okay,
So
can
it's
I pause?
like,
Exploratory sex.
Can I pause? Because I did say in the introduction that sometimes people might feel like they're like just eavesdropping on friendship conversations. So if we take it back to the audience for a second, at what point should one know what they want in sex? Let me take it back one more second. Did I have a moment?
You got a moment.
twist.
You had a
Ah.
moment. You had a moment.
Be specific. I'm a Virgo, y'all. So don't do this airy, watery, fiery shit that all y'all
The
do.
fire's coming.
Yeah. At what point did you know what you wanted in sex? Did that come with age or did that come with a number? So I'm asking only quantifiably. I want a number of age or I want a number of sexual partners. When did you know? I don't care. I don't care. Make your faces. I don't care. I don't care. At what point did you know what you wanted in sex? Because again, I'm centering this conversation on the youngins that are around us. And I don't want anybody going into their 40s that's listening to us now in their 20s and their 30s. And they're like, I'm going to keep giving people benefit of doubt. I'm going to keep giving people intention. And you walking around and you hit 45 and you ain't never had an orgasm, but you like, but that's a good girl right there. That's a good dude.
Your first squirt.
But no.
I said quantifiably.
I did. There was a number in there. Was there not a number in there? There was a number in there.
You said it first.
But here, okay,
First.
but there's a rationale. Let me explain.
No.
Yes.
No, I don't want to know.
The reason I said that is, and maybe not as specific as a squirt, right? Because that is a whole nother level of sex, right?
I do.
Whole nother level.
I've seen that on the site.
I hope.
Yeah,
Oh, is that
I've seen
where?
that.
You only saw
the
it.
internet. I was on the site.
No, but
I'm
I
a
say
therapist,
that.
but I have curiosity.
Oh my god!
It's part of my research.
Well,
You're a
pull it back.
producer
Pull it back.
example.
Pull it
WTF.
back. Pull it back. But
Land
the
the
reason I
plane.
say that
Land
is
the plane.
because when I think about for myself how long it was, one, like most people say, I thought I was peeing on myself. Like you don't even know until you have that happen or until you have an orgasm. You really don't know that you've been missing it because if you have that emotional connection, you might have just enjoyed the experience.
So are you saying that having
Come on, say it.
I don't
say it,
know.
anime.
God.
Say it.
it's Sunday, Lord? Are you saying that having a squirt is the quantifiable?
No, having a
experience?
squirt. So theoretically, it's the orgasm. It's a difference. So the reason
Okay.
it's
Everybody
almost
has a
like
squirt.
having I don't know the
Because
different
what?
types of steak. Okay, I'll
Everybody
give you this.
doesn't squirt.
No, they don't. Right. So that's why I said it's
Why
not.
you
It's
looking
not
at
specific
me?
to that.
Look at yourself.
I'm gonna look at the mic.
Oh my gosh, we gotta focus. It's not specific to that. What it is being able to tell the difference between okay and great. Right. And if you don't know the difference between the two, you have no clue that there's great
But
out there.
Sometimes
That
I feel like
point-
okay and great could be just the person,
could.
just the chemistry you have with the person. So the sex might be the same, but the chemistry that you have with the person might be different.
Says Jonai the fire sign. So what you're basically saying is that there has to be chemistry present.
To be
I guess
great.
again, I'm going.
No. That's
I
not what I'm saying.
disagree.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not
Okay,
saying
tell
there
me.
has to be chemistry because if you know your body, you also have to know your body, right?
But
if you
how
know
do you know your body?
Oh, I need chemistry.
I think just over time and actually caring about what's happening and not just going through the motions. I think we go through years of going through the motions, or maybe I'm speaking for myself.
Can I go back to my question of
Sure.
quantifiable time?
No, I don't think you can quantify it. I don't think you can quantify the age or the amount of sexual partners.
So somebody could be 50 and they still don't know their body.
Absolutely.
And somebody could be
Absolutely.
25 and still know. So what
And
do
know
I
their body.
What about the 25-year-old who is capable of knowing her body at 25, but she waits till 50 because she's like giving exceptions to the rule
Wait till 50 to do what?
to know her body? Like I feel like it's a whole bunch of youngins. I don't need your what. What I'm saying is I feel like it's a whole bunch of women because of socialization that go through this experience of giving like exceptions.
Okay, let's quantify
You
it.
at 25, you can know your body. You don't have
But
to
not
wait
at
till
12
50.
and 13 and 14. So think about it.
No.
Let's make it medical. You haven't developed. If you even haven't fully physically developed in your whole reproductive system, how could you even enjoy sex so young? So, because I'm trying to think of an
give me
age.
numbers. So you're saying no
I'm gonna say
13,
no,
and I'm saying
no
no
to-
50. So are we saying 30?
Well,
You
at
should
50,
know your
you might have had a
body?
hysterectomy. You might have been through menopause. Your whole chemical structure could have changed. So now you could have known at 40s, but now at 50, because it changed, you got to relearn all over again. Now it's different.
Yeah.
I keep
Yeah.
going back to this
Yeah.
point of I think about my youngins. I got youngins on my line that are part of my, part of Delta. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about them like at 25, do you know what you want in sex? How do you define that? And I'm asking you guys, like, what is the journey? Because I know all of y'all. Like, we've been best friends for a number of years. And I know y'all be, you know what? I'm not going to do it because it's a podcast.
Right.
Like,
It's about knowing your body,
Right.
exploring your body, being able
so
to
D, we
how?
need you
communicate
know
with
your body.
Well, again, prude. My conversation about
And
sex
when did
was,
you know?
when you ready, let me know. We go get birth control. I'm sorry, mommy. But that was our conversation, and I said I'm ready, and we went, and that was it. So I did not take the time to learn. Oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, I like it when you choke me a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't take
Okay,
the
I got
time.
duty,
Oh.
choking.
Well, I think you definitely evolve. So
You
Yes.
evolve.
so now
You
I was with men until I was 20 something. And so and I still think that's true. Like I don't take away from that experience that I had when I was whatever age, at that younger age.
My knees
Like
were
that
better.
was I had some awesome experiences. I had some really great experiences. But then I know and every time I had a great experience, I felt like I was learning because I was with somebody that was older than I was.
Nobody is answering my question, and you guys are like making me.
There's no
frustrated.
answer.
Because there's not an answer.
You got a Virgo answer.
There
I
is an
know.
answer. There is an answer.
You sound like my
if we
wife.
tell-
Not
if
an
we tell a
answer.
youngin- if
It's
we tell a youngin-
evolved. It's evolution.
You
I
know,
think
learn
so.
yourself first.
You learn yourself.
Yes, but when do we tell a
How about
person to
this?
learn
The
ourselves?
Frame
minute you
it.
feel like you want to engage in sex, learn what you like first and be able to
So you're telling a
articulate that to your
person
partner.
that at 13 you should start the exploration experience.
if you feel like
Bet.
you want to have sex.
That is quantifiable for me. It's this idea of like people still coming, and it's no disrespect, but people coming in their 60s like, yo, doc, I need therapy because I don't know my sexual identity. And I'm like, I bet let's explore this, right? Like there's no judgment connected to it. But at what point, again, we're all in our 40s and you guys are all my close friends, right? We all went through the journey. At what age or what experience did you start to evolve? Like you guys are at this place of self-actualization and you're forgetting like at what age was the
that was
foundation of
32
when you
for me.
started to have
that was
I'll say
32.
early 30s.
Yeah,
Okay.
32 for me.
And I think I take issue with you saying we're at this place of self-actualization because I think it's a constant
I do too.
evolution.
I agree.
But Yanni,
That's
you
how I
don't know, you
feel.
don't know what you like. You don't know when they hit it from the back, Yanni.
I don't know what I don't know. So
Okay.
I know what I know, but somebody might walk in this door and do something, and I'll be like,
is it the same with everybody? Right.
Oh,
Is
I
it
had
the
no
same with
idea.
everybody?
Is
It doesn't
Right.
have to be the same with everybody, Jay, but it has to be this idea
Jay?
that
That's
I
for
did-
your what earlier?
what I say?
Carry on.
Carry on.
Jay.
Oh, it's this idea that I don't want people to go into their like 50s and 60s giving space to another person's intention. Like, understand yourself. At what point did you start saying to yourself, I want a particular experience?
It should
Was
all,
that in your 20s? Was that in your 30s? Was
Yeah.
that in your
It was in my
40s?
20s,
At what
30s,
point did you say, we
and my
about to have
40s.
sex and I'm going to get what's mine? And you,
30s.
I know as a Black woman, I'm going to give you what's due to you, right? Because Black women, we always give. We satisfy our partner 100, right? Like, we going to give. You want this? I'm going to give it to you, right? But at what point do we say, I don't need y'all. I don't need y'all. I don't need y'all. But at what point do we say, I want what is mine too?
32.
But you're giving
32.
so
I
think the point-
you're missing the conjunction between.
No, you missing it.
No,
No, you missing it.
You missing it. You missing it. I'm with Yanni.
Yeah, you are missing the conjunction of I could have been. So the first time I had sex was 14.
Okay, you was backing that
And it
ass
was
up?
yes,
Were
and it
you
was
twerking?
I don't think I knew what twerking was at that point.
There was some
But it was by oh God, I hope my mom is not listening. But it was by the Shenandoah River, like in a backseat of a car. Like it was all of that. And the thing is, it's like you may know, but there's so many other intervening things that come with that journey of self-actualization.
I'm more so talking about the women who still don't have orgasms. I'm more
Because
so
they're
talking
still
about the
on their
women.
journey. Maybe they still don't. I think about, men or women who don't recognize their sexual identity until later in life.
True.
They might have known intellectually, but that is not the same thing as being self-actualized in that knowing.
True.
So they might have known, when that finger goes in there, I had a different reaction. But they don't come out of the closet as gay or bisexual until much later.
Or
right?
straight men like a finger in their ass too.
Or I said before this, why don't straight men get to be bi? Like, why can't straight men who identify as straight, let me be clear, still enjoy those certain pleasures? Why? Because they're taboo. Because society says one thing. They're talking to their friends. They're embarrassed. They're all of these different things wrapped up into each other. So I don't think there's a quantifiable age.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a constant evolution.
I think also there's so many other elements to consider. It's, are you secure? Are you insecure? Do you love your body? Do you all these things that come?
But Jay, aren't those things that we could address? So if we said something, and I'm okay being outside and controversial in this element of all you water and air people.
Fire.
And fire. Oh my God. So, but if we said, like, if we put measures on it and we said, like, explore all these elements of your sexual identity before 30, and we sat around as experts of grown-ass women, would that be okay? Would it be okay to say to somebody, have sex and get a little penetration in your behind? Or have sex, wait, I don't need you guys to laugh. Or like, have sex and get your nipples rubbed a little bit. Like, what?
The problem is
Because if we get to live to our 90s, it could kind of be unfortunate that you don't explore your sexual identity until you're like in your 50s or 60s. Like, that kind of seems like a disservice. Yeah.
I
Like,
think as
at
time
some
is
point
changing. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
at some point, I kind of feel like, shouldn't we tell youngins, because we are living in our 40s, shouldn't we say to them, explore all of the things before you're like 30, 40? Like, get all the things happening. And then at that point, determine, do I like this? Do I not like this? Does this give me excitement? Does it not? Does it make me like yearn for you? Does it, like, I just kind of feel like sometimes we set people up for success because we tell them the intentions of the other person is more important than what your body organically responds to.
I think as we evolve and as the world evolves, just like with therapy, right? it's becoming a thing now where it wasn't necessarily a thing a few years ago. So just start putting that out in the air. Like, let's have these conversations. Let's talk. People aren't as comfortable about talking about their sexuality. You know, I think more it's becoming, we're getting to that point now. But I think we need to just keep having these conversations. I know some years ago with an ex of mine, we went to like a sex therapist, not because we weren't having good sex, but we just saw it online and was like, oh, let's go here and let's see what they're talking about and, you know, see what we could do new. Not that nobody was bored.
Like, we went to a sex therapist not because we weren't having good sex. It's mad Black sex therapists that are out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of their conversations is about exploring your sexual identity and freedoms. And some people want things, but they're too afraid to say it to their
I think
partner.
just having the conversation. There are all these games out now that you know, you can have game night with your partners and whatever, ask these questions and whatever. And I think that gives you the opportunity to be a bit more vulnerable without feeling like you're targeted, you know, like you're doing a bad job or whatever it is. Just like answer this question because it's a game.
The
So
issue is that there are so many psychological things that confound sex. There's religion, there's belief, there's, you know, being proved, there's feeling, you know, like I'm too free. There's your social confounds. There's too many things that when you get in bed, in the act, even if it's arousing to your physical body, your mind is not conforming to what should be happening because I'm a Christian and I shouldn't have sex, or I'm with a man and this is not how I was raised, or whatever the case is for you, or I'm swinging and I would learn to be in a monogamous relationship. Psychologically, we need to take a step back and figure out what our physical body wants and how that aligns with our beliefs. And until we do that, we cannot be free sexually. That's my belief.
Which goes back to the conversation of at what point do we do that, right? Like from
the minute we're trying to have sex.
From a therapeutic perspective, my thought is, when do you start addressing your core beliefs around what you deserve as a sexual being? Because there's many women who believe as a sexual being, their idea is to satisfy their partner. And that shows up in heterosexual relationships and homosexual relationships, bisexual relationships, pansexual relationships. And that is a position of martyrdom. Martyrdom. Okay. Yeah. Did I get it right? Martyrdom. Which is this idea like I should put my sexual desires on the back end for your sexual pleasure. And then we walk around later being resentful because we haven't fully figured out life, because we're not fully feeling life, because we're not having like the fullness of sex and the fullness of orgasms. And in raising young children, this is a conversation that we have. Oh my God, they're probably mortified in this moment. But it's a conversation that we consistently have in our house, because my idea is enjoy life to its fullest, which means have orgasms, have exploration, like talk about what feels good for you. Everybody doesn't want the same thing. Some people want, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Somebody got something else?
Okay. Yeah, and I do. And I want a little juggle.
Oh my gosh,
Lord. Not the two-hand juggling.
Yeah. Oh, that's a different one.
I think we're speaking from a place of privilege. We're speaking for, see, this is where my prude comes in. Guys.
Okay, all right.
Guys, too much.
You're so Caribbean, Ayana.
So, exactly.
You're so
I was
Caribbean.
just about to go to culture, to how we're raised.
You're just at the mic?
We are speaking from a place of privilege, right? Where we feel comfortable having this conversation. You feel very comfortable having this conversation with your child. Well, because I was going to say, in opposition, I can't imagine having this conversation.
With Nye?
Right. And I'm not saying I'm not going to.
Please believe that Nye will have this conversation with his godmother.
Well, I'll send him to you.
Okay.
Because I don't want to know. I don't want to hear about it. If you want to finger in your booty, I don't want to hear about it. Cool. I'm happy about it, but I don't want to hear about it. So, and I don't know how you feel about your daughter, but think about like the level of privilege we are taking in just being able to have the conversation. When you come from families, Caribbean families, African families, African-American families, religious family, Pentecostals, like you're Baptist, like go down the list. You're like, at 13, let's talk about what you like about your body. That's not happening on a regular basis. Exactly. You don't have nobody. Exactly. Like, you got your schooling. You better get your life together. Like, we not talking about what you find pleasurable. And maybe that's why I'm like, it's not quantifiable, because the ideal is not what's real.
But Yanni, if it's not quantifiable, then you're saying that a person could die at 93 and never have.
They do all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, except we're transform. I was about to say Transformers, but my mind went back to 1987 and we're like going from cars to humans. It's too much, right? But Onyx talks about transformative healing, right?
Yes.
Like,
yes, it does.
We cannot be 90 not exploring these conversations.
But these generations aren't going to be 90 not exploring these conversations. Not this generation.
Different generations.
And I know I've been talking about the youngest that are in their 20s, but what about the people that are in their 40s? Like, have you ever read? You guys are my best friends. So we talk about, they don't need to know what we talk about. But we talk about the things. We talk about the things. But the point is, what about people that are in their 40s and they've never had an orgasm, guys?
Go see Onyx Therapy.
Work to do.
They've got work.
But they need to reach out. They need to reach out. They need to.
Okay.
That's a confidence thing.
Okay.
Because they're
gonna reach out to grown ass women.
Yeah, they can reach out to
show. We here, right?
Onyx Therapy group.
Okay.
We were just talking about fupas.
Yeah,
right?
fupas.
And I think fupas
it's a song
are
called
very
Lizzo.
feminine.
He said you got a little belly button.
Exactly. I heard that song. I like that song about Lizzo.
He said I like a little meat on my plate.
Right. And Jonai made a good point. It's not them, it's us. Because, like for many men, women, non-binary, whatever you call them, they want to grab the fupa. Like that is a symbol of femininity. But I can even speak for myself. When we all sat down, we all like, something laying on my lap, like, right? And so it's this idea, right? But it's this idea of, like you said, that transformation, but it takes that time because it also comes with your own insecurities.
Yep.
It also comes with your own insecurities of, what does this mean about me if I like this? What does this mean about me if I like that?
I want to go back to the conversation of like sex specific, because I'm not sure that the audience is walking away with tips. We're a friend group, right? Like this is our thing, right? Like this is our Friday conversation. This is our Tuesday morning philosophical question of the day. And I mentioned that in our on Grown Ass Women and in our group chat that we just randomly talk about shit, right? Because we're a whole bunch of intellectual people living in different industries. How do we make this relevant to our audience? Because the point that I'm saying is at 30, 32, you should be aware of what you want and what you don't want. And you should be able to have the courage to talk about that. And maybe the courage is where the therapy comes in. But you don't necessarily need therapy to say what you want. Sex therapy, absolutely, 100%. But at 32, you should know what your clit is doing.
So much.
You should know what your nipple is responding to. You should
You
know
hear
that a
word?
little
She
slap
keeps
on
saying
the
should.
breast get
you
you
keep
going.
saying
That's
should.
it.
You keep
You
saying
cannot
should.
depart the person from the physical.
Exactly. You keep
Okay,
saying
you
should.
guys keep saying that, but I'm saying in the end, we have a person again who's 60 and I feel like we need to make some we need to make some tips
My tip
to
of the
our
month?
Tracy's no, it's not your tip of the month yet.
Tracy's
It's not
Tracy's
it's not-
dog.
It's not
I know Tracy's dog. I know
Jesus,
Tracy's
it's not your tip of the month yet.
It's Tracy's
Nikki,
dog.
did you have a
Dog, we're
tip?
looking for a
It's not
sponsor.
your tip
I
of the
do.
month.
But here's the thing. So
Yes.
if you're 30,
March, yes.
Right.
At the end.
if you're 30 and you don't know these things, you're not in high school, you're not in college, you don't have this
Why
judgment.
your shoulders tight? Relax yourself.
No,
Because
my
you know you're the
fupa.
nastiest. Never mind.
Okay.
Edit.
So, well, I'm keeping it all contained.
Okay.
If you're in your 30s and you know you have not done that, you're at an age where you're maybe independent. Go explore. You should actually consider exploring. You know what I mean? Be open to having a partner that is truly a physical experience, right? Or if you have a partner, and if you're not comfortable having that conversation, if you have a partner that you're comfortable having sex with or doing sexual things with, then you should go to therapy because that's something else.
So in previous months, we talked about what age you should get married, what age you should divorce. Why are you guys like so adverse to talking about what age you should know your sex? Like we put numbers on marriage, we put numbers on divorce.
Situational. So I'll give you a prime example why to me it's situational, where there was no way, like the best sex I've had has been the most intense emotional connections, which just wonderfully so happened to have a good set of tools and resources available in that
I don't do this.
that action. But that is truly no other sex I've had is comparable to that. Because
why is sex different than marriage?
Double divorce, did not say that.
Because you guys, if we go back to grown ass women in like November, you guys will put ages on when we should get married.
It's
you
less
guys will put
committal.
ages on when she would get divorced.
Hold on.
I think that
real
was
broad.
Yeah, I think
that
was
was
based
different.
on how we felt, what we grew up learning. Like we felt like we weren't doing the right thing at the time or whatever. But as you get older and you evolve, it's like, okay, I'm ready when I'm ready. Like it's not that those are societal tips.
There you go.
You cannot put an age
Okay.
on the moment when your physical body and your psychological mind align. And you decide that I have the courage to say what I want.
She's from Baltimore.
I am from Baltimore. Did I came from Baltimore?
And you're from LA.
And you're from LA. To say what I want.
Don't do me.
Okay.
But you can't put an age on that. It could be 10. It could be 55. But when you decide that this is what my body likes, this is what my mind likes, this is the nexus between the two, and I am now brave enough to say this is what I want, that's the age. Whatever
so
that
you're
is.
saying is courage and bravery has to be part of the conversation.
And analyzing your
awareness,
your psychology,
courage,
and your body.
and bravery is part of the conversation of sexual exploration.
But your
Right.
body
has to
is
be.
added to that because to your point earlier, your body changes. Y'all see my fan. All y'all fan endorsers.
Okay.
I'm at a particular age and I get hot
Sponsorship.
flashes.
Yeah.
So
Soundbite.
them hot flashes will change your whole sexual. It changes the whole thing, and you got to recalibrate and figure out what works. So there's a difference. I have to do things differently now than I did when I did not have hot flashes.
So ask a question. What would we have done differently then, to your point, right? If we're saying like around 30, 32 for me until I really knew what I liked sexually, right? Just off of experiences over life, what would I have wanted differently when I was younger to say, okay, this might have helped me know sooner?
I mean, and bringing context to that, we have baby J. That's our grown ass
13.
woman baby, right?
Woo.
Like
Hey, baby
she's
Jay.
13. We have
Love you, baby
Alyssa.
J.
We have Alyssa who is 18 and she's a grown ass woman baby. Like
Love you,
you
Liz.
guys,
Loveless.
right? Right. So you guys are like her aunties. Are we really saying there's no age, or would you really talk to your niece and your daughter and say there's no age to that, baby? You got another 40 years ahead of you to figure that out.
No, I don't think anybody said that. I
No.
think
Yeah.
I can speak for myself and
I don't
say
even like you.
that
I love you.
By the way,
I
Yanni
will
is one of my
I will
best friends.
Circle back to what I said.
So don't hit me up, people.
The tip is
Which
The tip.
you have
Which
to
tip?
I said
understand
it first.
I want to.
yourself.
You said it first.
Yourself.
I'm sorry, Yanni. We got
Sorry.
distracted by the
Okay.
tip.
Sorry.
The
Stop getting
entering of
distracted.
the
Okay,
tip.
I'm sorry.
Say it
is
again.
Understanding yourself. So
Okay.
what I would tell Alyssa, because even 2 months ago, I was having sex to please someone else.
Okay, 2 months
Right,
ago.
right. What you doing? You up? Yeah, come on over. Knowing I don't really want you to come over. I don't really want to be bothered.
Okay.
But again, was it doing my duty? Was it out of boredom? Was it? And I had to ask myself that question. What am I inviting this fool over for?
But did you get something from it though, Yanni? Did you get like the physical interaction?
Yes,
Did you get to
but
like
then you're left
intimacy?
bereft.
Not enough.
Then after,
Okay.
exactly.
It's
Then you're
not
left
enough.
bereft because I was like, well, I'm not really sure I even want to do this in the first place.
True.
Right? So what I would tell these youngins is you have to know yourself and have the courage to speak up and say, you know what? This is not what I want right now. And not be worried that he, she, or they are not going to like you anymore because of it. They're going to view you in a certain way. You're not people pleasing. Like you're doing this for yourself because you want to.
So you're saying that sex with Black women is layered. It's not just an orgasm.
I said the whole time.
No, we've been saying that. No.
Roll the tape back. Roll the tape back. That's what we said.
Okay.
I was like, there's so many layers
You
to
gonna roll the
it.
tape
Where's
back.
the home stenographer?
To it. There's societal
But it's not-
expectation to
okay.
it.
If we roll the tape back, you guys did say that. But everybody doesn't have a sexual experience that's rooted in trauma. Sometimes it's rooted in like people pleasing. Sometimes it's
That's
rooted
trauma
in
to
like
me.
That's trauma.
That's trauma.
Well, I think
no,
as the,
yo,
I think,
at ease, my
I think,
nigga.
I
Like,
think, no, I think
people
as the
pleasing
word,
is not trauma.
but
Like,
I think,
yeah.
I think as the
I
world
disagree.
evolves,
Yo.
I
though,
think it is.
I think as the world
No.
evolves, I think the world itself is just transitioning. Period. Right, where things were not spoken of. You did not talk about these things. You just did your duty, whatever, right? And now as the world transitions and we're more vocal and we have these podcasts and we talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about, right? People are feeling more inclined to expose themselves and expose their thoughts and their feelings and whatever. And it's just a new age, period.
yeah.
So we're some people are still, you know, the 40s and to 60s and older or whatever. We're still trying to you know, come from that old school mentality or whatever into this new age. Yeah. Yeah. But
people pleasing in
children,
itself is not trauma. Like
it could be.
Where does people pleasing come
Could
from?
be.
Where
It
does
could
the
be.
instinct
I
to
don't think
please
I don't think
no,
it's always
what
trauma,
you're
but it
saying
could
is
be.
that the manifestation of people pleasing is a trauma response, but it's not trauma in itself. So you can't.
It can.
Yo,
It can be,
If you don't want to.
And I don't think it
If
always
you don't
is.
want to.
Nah, but that's rooted in something else, Yanni.
So you know
That's
what? No,
rooted in
as a
something else.
former people pleaser, I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one because that behavior came from trauma.
Yes.
It wasn't something I was born with. I wasn't just born with
That's what
or
I
having.
said.
Yeah, but I think you're saying the same.
Yeah,
If that's what you're
that's
saying,
what
you're
I'm
saying the
saying.
same
So
thing.
when it comes to sex, trying to please your partner is not necessarily trauma.
I see
It's a
what you're
trauma
saying.
response.
Mhm.
Trauma.
Fear of being
address your
left.
trauma. Don't address a trauma response. That's like we're surrounded by these beautiful leaves. We're surrounded by these beautiful leaves that are in these plants. You don't fix the leaf, you fix the root. Like a lot
I don't
of
think
Black
I'm saying
women.
something different.
Well, what I'm saying is I don't want people going out there being like, I'm a people pleaser, and that's because of my trauma. That's a trauma response. That's not the root of your trauma. Like, address the trauma.
I don't think I'm saying something different. Maybe I'm not being.
Don't
Maybe
suck
I'm not being
your
understood.
niggas
Clinical
dick
about it,
because
yeah.
you want to, because you think that is what you're supposed to do because of trauma. That's a trauma
Yeah.
response, trying to
Yeah.
please him. And
Yeah.
instead, not necessarily getting, what's it called? Cunnilingus?
Cunnilingus.
She said cunnilingus.
You're supposed to know that.
I'm not a sex therapist. I'm a mental health therapist.
Our bodies
That's all I
ourselves.
got. That's all I got. But I love the fact that y'all. The point that I'm making is that like people pleasing is not. It's a trauma response. It's not.
How was that different from what I said? I don't- Maybe I.
I think
I'm
we
not-
didn't
I'm
use
not
the right
understanding
language.
analogy.
I think we didn't use the right language.
No,
okay.
I'm
Maybe
not
not.
attacking
Maybe
you,
not.
Yanni.
No,
Yanni,
no,
I'm
I
not
don't-
attacking
I don't
you.
feel any kind of way. I actually think I was trying to say what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and
I don't
do
know
feel
how
like
it
that
came
is
across,
true,
but yes.
and I feel like that's why not a lot, but a number of Black women go into these relationships and they're like having transactional sex. They're having like trauma response sex. They're having like all of these
People-pleasing sex.
socialization sex. Like I
Yeah.
think there's a word that comes before sex. It's not just sex. It's like transactional. It's trauma response. It's people pleasing. And it's not just like what your body organically needs. And in other parts of our lives, we like do things because our body just needs it. We take vitamins, we drink water, we eat these foods because our bodies just need it. And our bodies need sex too. And our bodies need orgasm too. We were designed to have orgasms. We wouldn't have that ability without the design, right? Like your car goes into high mode sport because it's designed to go into high mode sport. So go into the sport, right?
Like feel like it,
right? Like do it, and then you're like making excuses why you can't go into the sport, but that's the design. Like go into it, like lean into it. I'm tingling.
The real question is, can we just have the high mode sport?
Not in that way, but because
have sex.
Some people can.
Yes, we can.
No,
I can't, but some people can.
I'm going to say no.
I'm with you.
Think so?
That's where my prude comes in because I think no.
I'm with you.
I think no.
They can just have sex. What
No.
about one night stands and no emotional repercussions?
Why can't you just have sex?
I think
Don't point
we
at
can
me.
try. No,
I have sex.
LaNail is so goofy. You are so goofy. I truly don't think so.
Thanks for saying that, friend.
I
'cause most
think,
people don't see me that
yeah,
way.
like I think it is always a charged situation.
Always.
And always in all cases. And honestly, I think that is where you start unpacking the layers. Especially for a woman. Women's History Month, I'm just going to say it. Like there are always layers to it.
But only for women, not for men.
I'm not a man. I can't speak to
Men
what
pop
men
that
feel.
thing wherever they want.
And we
to pop
talked
that
about
thing.
having a man as a counterbalance, but I don't think a room full
This
of
is the point where you talk about oxytocin, doc.
Yeah. Because in the
Right, I
position
can't
of
speak for a man.
oxytocin.
We are a bunch of ladies. Let's not try to dissect what men feel.
Yeah.
Let's talk about women.
Because I think men don't give a fuck. I think
Yeah,
they
and I
can,
think
Why
it's just
can't
different.
women?
because
Women.
I feel like men can have an orgasm
It's the chemical.
regardless.
Right.
For us, we don't have orgasms as
But why?
easily as
but
men.
why?
I don't know why.
It takes more.
Biology.
Why? You know it's a chemical exchange.
It's a
Like,
chemical,
we don't want
it's
to
a
talk
chemical
about
exchange.
it, but it's biology.
It's a chemical exchange, right? But men also have a greater imagination than women do. We are
I don't know about
oftentimes
that.
rooted.
I don't think it's
I don't know
fair.
about that.
Is that
I don't think it's
science?
fair
Is
for
that
us
science?
to talk
We
about a
root
male
ourselves-
perspective. I don't think
Okay.
it's fair for us.
Okay.
They're very
Women sitting
visual. They
around
need to
talking.
see. Okay. I'm
What
gonna
they
be
see is
super
not always
transparent. A guy asked me, like, what do you think about? What do you do? What do you watch when you masturbate? I don't need to watch nothing. That shit is all here. I don't need
Right.
to see nothing because my mind can contrive whatever I need
Yeah.
to get there. Men need to see in most cases.
Maybe I'm half man.
So I don't believe that
I'm
men
half
have.
too.
I
I
was like,
need-
I might
I
need
need
I do
some
like a little bit of
imagination
porn.
Yeah.
I need to see
than
stuff.
women.
I like
Oh,
to
I
see
don't
stuff.
like
Sometimes
nothing.
watching
I wanna
gives you
see.
But the point
imagination. It can
is-
help the imagination.
But you don't need it. You don't
I don't
need it.
need it.
But I don't
Okay.
think they do either. I don't think they do
No,
either.
I don't
Okay,
think-
so then
I don't
this
think
goes
we can
into a
speak for men. I
conversation.
think we need to speak for women. And so when I'm speaking as
And
a
not
woman, and
monolithic.
truly of myself, right?
Mhm.
Because not all women are monolithic, right? But I can also say it's always a charged situation. And so even when you engage in the one night stand, you go to Taboo, you swing from the ceilings, you have a good
Stop mentioning
time.
them until they sponsor
Oh yeah, with
us.
sponsorship, please. But you go to
God,
wherever you
I'ma
go
reach out.
and do whatever you do. There's still more that comes with it.
Yeah, clearly. Come. So the point that I
Thank you, LaNail. Let me lean in. Thank you.
Yeah, because
Feels.
I do feel like women have great imaginations. Yes. And I also feel like we need a little bit more. I feel like we need like
Wants? Yes. Need.
For what? For an orgasm or just in general for sex?
For an orgasm. We're talking about general.
I feel like I can have an orgasm without anybody around, without any visualization. But I do like visualization, right? Like I do
Mhm.
like
So
the
wants, not need.
But that's by
I get
yourself,
what you're
right?
saying.
So let's talk about with a partner though. Like you know what you can you know what you can do for yourself. But
I agree.
You
with
know
Dee.
what you can do for yourself.
Yeah. It's the
but
one.
But with a partner,
Sometimes I don't even want the partner.
Oh my gosh.
Leave me alone.
Why is this my life?
I always want my partner.
We're supposed to wrap up. We're supposed to wrap up.
what do you tell your partner? What do you do?
I tell
what
them
do
what
you
I
do?
need. Like, I need you to go to the left. I need you to go to the right. I need you to like rub on this nipple. Like, I need you to smack a ass. I feel like
Latitude,
communication.
longitude.
I feel like communication is important. If I have self-awareness and I know what's gonna take me to the next level, then it is unfair to you as my partner for me to have the information and not share it.
I agree.
And it's unfair to me to have the information and not share it, because ultimately we're gonna both walk away at 50%, 60% satisfaction.
That's if you have the information. That's if you have the
But
information.
I got the information from, and I asked you guys quantifiably, I got the information from having sex with a number of people.
Just keep going.
Yeah, just don't stop. No
Keep going.
comma.
I have children, so I'm gonna leave it there. But and also explore my own body. Like, I know what I like. Like, I know if this one might respond. For those that are not watching, like, one nipple may respond to it differently than another. Like, one angle may respond to a different position than another. Like, but we don't have those conversations. We get in this conversation, this idea that a person just knows. Like, if this person paid attention and they just like knew me and they like were in tune, then they would know that I like this more than this. And I like, that's unfair to both people that's
I think
involved.
it definitely takes a while. I think it takes some time to understand what it is that you want on your own. You can't articulate it to anybody until you recognize.
But it's
what
also
it is.
different
But
with
how
each
do you
partner.
recognize
Each
it,
partner
Jay?
is different.
By
You just do.
experiences?
I think by experiences for sure. For sure. And I think for me, my experiences, the experiences that told me that gave me some knowledge were because I was curious. So when I was with men, it was an older man. When I was with women, it was an older woman. And it was like, okay. Like I learned, I
Because
actually
they had
learned something.
experiences.
Yeah. Because they had experiences. So I think I learned
Not
something.
to say be 15 and go with somebody that's 30. That's not what Jay is
Oh,
saying.
No,
Lord.
that's not what
Jesus.
that
You're
is not
saying-
what we're saying.
You're saying that within the proper age range, you
Whatever
go
that-
with
I
somebody
don't
who
even know
can
if that's a
teach
thing.
you.
The legal age
I think
range.
somebody that has more experience
The
than you,
legal
and it could
age
be, they don't have to be older. It could just be more experience, right? But I think just so I'll go with the older situation. I think older folks, in my experience, have been more vulnerable and more willing to help me see what it is that I like, and more vocal in the
Which
whole
is
experience,
nasty.
right?
They probably
So,
had
yeah.
the revolution of exploring themselves.
I think so. And then that helps you think about it a little bit more, because I don't even think that, I think when I first started having sex, I didn't even think about it like that. It was just like, oh,
Sex. It was just sex.
I'm having sex. Cool. I like
you
it.
were
I like
having
this. I
sex
like
for
this
whom?
person. I felt like it was for both of us. I felt like I like this person.
But who
I don't
was-
even know what I'm supposed to be feeling.
Jay, but the person you were having sex. So you were having sex for both of y'all. The person you were having sex for, were they also thinking both of y'all? Or were they only thinking
know.
you?
I don't know.
Or only thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
Well,
or only
I
thinking
feel-
them
I feel like-
is what
I
I'm
feel like
saying.
the first- I
Maybe
feel like
they
the
showed
first-
her something.
I feel like the first time I had sex, it was with
But
my,
not
my
intentionally.
my guy best friend. I felt like he cared about me. I felt like we were both just like, let's see. Let's just do it and see what's up. Like we were just both experimenting. I don't feel like I got anything out of it. I don't know if he did. I feel like men always get something out of it. That's just my take on things. But he was still my friend. I still loved him as my friend, and we just
in raising a
moved
boy,
on.
in raising a boy and a girl having sex, because sex is a active part of our conversation in our house. Like we talk about like which pasta we're gonna use and what sex we're gonna use, right? Like, and I know people, many
times have changed.
And I know
Times
many
have
Black people are like, what the hell, Dr. P? Like, that's crazy as hell. But I feel like my kids have sex along with their peers and they cook along with their peers. So we're having the same conversations, right? And I tell my daughter, have sex for pleasure. And I tell my son, be aware of yourself and have sex for your other person as well, right? Like there's an extra element that I have to put in with my son because society tells my son, have sex for you. Do what you got to do. Have your orgasm for you. See what you want to see. Have the visual experiences. And that's not fair to the person he's having sex with. And while he's telling me he's not having sex in those kind of ways,
He's doing something.
I mean, it's something happening, right? And I shout out to both of them because I love both my son and whoever he's dating, and her mother. That's my girl. But the reality is like men have to have an extra step, or the masculine person in the relationship has to have an extra step because society has told them have sex for you and forget about the other person that's involved in the situation, which is generally us femme women. We're left behind. And in being left behind, we have to be like vocal in terms of what we actually want. And it's hard to be vocal in terms of what we actually want if we're not aware of what we actually want. So the question becomes, how do you get to the position of knowing what you actually want? Is it masturbation? Is it having sex with a number of people? Is it having a number of sexual positions? Like, how do you know what you actually want?
I think society requires us to be a little bit more vocal between, from social media, from
push your mic in closer.
From social media, from the rappers and all that stuff. Yeah. I think today period requires us to be way more vocal than we've ever been before. So I think that whatever we grew up learning, whatever our parents learned before, I think it's just totally different times. So we're speaking from what we know from back in the day to what we're teaching today. And I just think that things are different. People are more vulnerable. People are more open. People are like, fuck no, I'm not, no, sir, no, ma'am, you can't come over here. That's not what I want. And I just think that, especially we're like still on the edge of the millennials. Like we just made.
I'm X.
No, are you?
Yeah.
I'm X. Okay, well, whatever. I'm a millennial.
I've identified as X.
Yeah,
okay,
correct.
well, I'm still a millennial. I'm like the last bit of millennial.
Yeah.
And I just think things are different today.
The problem is what happens to Pentecostal Susie in the corner.
No, listen. We have already got our time warning.
I'm just saying.
I want to talk about Pentecostal Susie.
Y'all better put that in the grown ass women
that's
note chat
for next time. I'm just saying.
And for those that are listening, we have a whole note chat because we be talking about real random shit in our friend group, and then we end up with this. And we're like, well, what about this? And what about that? Girl, no, not today, Dr. Kennedy.
Susie is
Audience,
in the
please
corner.
let us know what you want to talk about, what you want to hear about. Let us know the things that you are experiencing with your children, with your, in your friend groups and your family. Let us know so we can talk about it.
Your identity.
Yeah, it's your identity, and just the times are different in general. So, we're talking about from when we grew up, and then some of us have teenage children. Some of us are talking about having children. Some of us have, young children, 6, 5, whatever it is. So let us know what it is that you want to hear from us, and, what you're struggling with in your home and with your families. So we want to hear from you.
Religious beliefs.
Look at Jay. Yes. That's what we saying. Whatever she said is what I'm saying, right? Whatever she said is what I'm saying. And also, if you're interested in being a guest on Grown Ass Women, right? Like, you've been watching us for like,
you got something to say.
I don't know, a year and a half. And we all got something to say,
We
right?
might need a grown-ass man.
You want a grown-ass man?
Grown-ass
man.
Grown-ass man.
I think
And
so.
if you're a grown-ass man or your man got
Grown-ass-
something to say,
A
let
grown-ass
us
non-binary. Doesn't have to be man, trans man.
True story.
Yes.
True
She's
story.
putting all the identities on it.
Mhm.
So if you or somebody in your crew wants to be a part of Grown Ass Women, hit us up. Let us know. But today, me and my besties, we're talking about identity. And we're talking about it in terms of like women empowerment, right? Because this is March. And March is about like women empowerment and women identity and all the things. We're wearing like shirts that talk about like women empowerment. We're showing up in the ways that make sense for us.
We're talking
And
about sex.
and as women, we're talking about sex. Y'all hear Ayana, Dr. Malone, get me together. Because a lot of times as women, we're centered on motherhood. We're centered on being a spouse. We're centered on being executives. We're centered on like our workplace dynamics. And we're not centered on what it means to be a woman in a sexual situation. What it means in terms of like freedom, our liberation, our prudism, which is also an identity. Like you could be prude and be wonderful and be a beautiful Black woman and be like, don't put that shit over here by me. You know what I'm saying? Like you could do that and it's fine. Like what does it mean to be a woman in Women's History Month and be Black? Yeah.
Yeah.
And be all the things and be a grown ass fucking woman. So
Tip of the
welcome again to Black History Month. Oh,
Tip of the
Women's
day.
History Month.
Tip of the
Women's
day.
History
It's my-
Month.
it's my drink.
History Month. It's
So
okay.
Women's History Month, right? Y'all gonna edit that? Okay, thank you. So thank you again for joining us for Grown Ass Women.
Nikki got a tip.
Tip of the day.
Oh shit, Nikki got a
Ayana,
tip.
Nikki got a
take my
tip.
No,
Oh,
we
it's
go with
decent.
tip.
No,
That's
it's
I just said
decent.
tip of the day.
Oh,
That's
it's
all I said.
decent. It's decent.
No.
No.
Tip.
Go,
No,
we
it's
can
decent.
both give a tip.
Do you like a little
She
tip in the
said
front
hers
or the back?
already.
It's Tracy's dog.
Oh,
Oh, Tracy's dog.
go
We
ahead.
get
Look it up.
Tracy's dog as
No.
a sponsor.
We need to get Tracy's
Is she a
dog as a
sponsor?
sponsor. She should
She will be.
We
will
gonna have to
stop
reach out.
shouting out
I
people
got
who
it.
are not sponsors.
Nah, I'm
as
on it.
we never mind. Y'all not gonna do this.
Tracy's
All
dog.
right. I just
Go
need
ahead.
Tracy's dog to know that.
Mhm.
Okay,
That
thank you. I liked her tip of the day. That
Who's
was a
doing the
good
tip?
one. Okay, I'll do the tip. Tip of the day. Ladies or everybody out there, don't feel like it is your duty to put your sexual organs into speed mode because we talked about that earlier. Okay, that is important. So I try to take things from the conversation to be the tip of the day. It is not your duty. Okay, put it in speed mode because you just want to go fast. That's my tip of the day.
Don't speed into that shit. Enjoy
Unless
it.
you want
live
to.
it.
You might
Take
need a little
your
fast.
time, do
Wait,
it
what's
right.
happening?
You might need a little fast.
What's happening? Oh,
Stand by.
It might
is your
reach it
neck
to the
okay?
climax.
Your neck, is your neck? Yeah.
I do good exercises. Roll to the left.
Have a good month, everybody.
Exactly.
Anyways,
Love you. Stay
thank you for
tuned.
joining Grown Ass Women once again, and thank you for spending time with us. So, thank you. Happy March, baby.
Yeah.
Ah.